I think if you're making decisions that can affect the entire outcome of the world, you don't get to remain anonymous.
Let's welcome our next guest. Let's see, I've got her in the studio right now. Please welcome Liv Boeree. Hey, Liv.
Hello.
Hey, nice to meet you. All right, let me tell the viewers a little bit about your background. Liv is an astrophysicist by training, but she's best known for being a poker champion, philanthropist, guitarist, TED speaker, science communicator, and host of the amazing Win-Win podcast. She's a rare mainstream voice who gives attention to problems and solutions to society's pressing yet frequently overlooked concerns like animal welfare, population decline, and now the risk of artificial intelligence. Does that all sound right, Liv?
Roughly, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and just to highlight, I know you're pretty fresh off. You recently won a poker tournament, and then you took much of the winnings and donated it to welfare for factory farm pigs. Is that right?
Yeah. I mean, it wasn't just pigs, but it was the pledge I made the night before the tournament started. I used to play poker professionally, and then I quit from playing full time 5-6 years ago. So I basically not played, and so I was like, oh, I'm going to go down and play this big tournament just for fun with no expectations. I'm pretty bad. I thought I'd be pretty bad at poker given all the time off I'd had. So I was like, I'll donate 20% to the best anti-factory farming charities. And then I go and have this huge score. So it was a nice little surprise. But yeah, I've been interested in sort of a lot of the cause areas that sort of, at least once upon a time, fell under the effective altruism umbrella since I've been into that stuff since 2015, which is where I got interested in AI safety. I remember hearing the arguments for it all the way back at an EAG conference in, I think, San Francisco 2015, and was like, this makes sense. I think even Eliezer was there speaking, or maybe it was Nate I met. I can't remember who, but I just remember them taking me through the arguments, and I was like, I hope they're wrong. And yet, I have yet to hear someone give more compelling arguments against them.
And how long ago was this that you first got informed about these arguments?
I think, as I said, I think it was around 2015. 2015,
okay,
2016.
All right. So coming up on a decade of being doom-filled, as they say. And
I don't like that phrase, doom pill, because I feel like it kind of it gets misused. And is used almost as a slur to discredit anyone who has any kind of concern about sort of rapidly propagating technologies, or anyone who's concerned about the sort of current trajectory. And also, I don't think we are necessarily doomed. I think we are in a very precarious position, but I don't... It can almost, if you use that term, at least I find if I use that term too much, it almost makes me kind of just want to lie down and die, and that's not what we should be doing. But, different strokes for different folks.
Yeah, no, fair enough. There's a lot of people making different comments about the terminology, and I will definitely take that into account. All right, so let's talk about your endorsement for the book. You're
also a good selling point.
Right, exactly. And I will say the .com was available. So you don't want to neglect that consideration for my show, Doom Debates.
No, I mean, listen, you're getting a lot of really important people, you're having really important conversations with really, on a very narrow topic in a way that no one else is really doing. So it's awesome.
Yeah, I really appreciate that. And the fact that nobody else is really doing it, it's like, what the hell, right? Why did I have to come along to do it? It's like society is broken. Yeah.
It's weird. It's like one of the biggest topics, arguably the biggest topic of our time, and it's getting a millionth of the attention that it probably should be.
Yeah, totally. All right, yeah, I'm glad you think so. So let's look at your endorsement. You wrote, "We don't know for sure what's going to happen when superintelligence arrives, but I'm glad we at least have this book raising the tough questions that need to be asked while the rest of the industry buries its head in the sand." Elaborate on that.
I don't know. It's interesting how, there are definitely some people within the AI industry expressing concern about the various dangers, although, and I do think it's true that there are so many different dangers that it's a mistake to perhaps just only focus on one. I think it's, the bad actor problem or the current harms and so on. I think it's different people will be more inclined to think about or be concerned by different ones, and that's fine. But when it comes to sort of specifically the extinction risk problem, the deeper alignment problem and the fact that people are openly trying to build superintelligence, there's so little conversation about it. The only real tech leader who was talking about it extensively was Elon, although now he seems to be trying to build it himself. So that one is interesting. But the rest of the industry just they just either act like it doesn't exist, or if it does exist, they sort of talk in circles around it. There are definitely some tech leaders who are, I know internally they are trying to solve it. Like, I think they are quite concerned, most of them, but they won't talk about it openly because obviously it hurts their bottom line and it might cause them road bumps. And it's surprising to me how actively it's not surprising, but it's disappointing how actively they are fighting against any kind of sensible regulation.
All right, how about this? We got a question from the viewers. Sean asks, Liv, what do you think we should do as people outside the immediate sphere?
It seems to be that the world runs on memes, and we are increasingly devolving into sort of symbolism and quick, digestible art forms. So if you are someone who is good at making memes or like good at hacking the internet and people's limbic systems, then I would recommend leaning into that more because, there are a few accounts out there. I don't always agree with everything AI safety memes that account posts, but by and large, the posts that person makes are good. They're good at making memes and they're actually making an impact. Like, they're getting people to understand these concepts. Sometimes people just need a cartoon to understand something. So anything, any art form that appeals to you that can raise awareness of this, because you're in the attention sphere has never been more competitive. So putting your brain power into ways of either outcompeting all the other memes through conventional memes, or by coming up with entirely new sort of ways of getting attention, that obviously you have to be careful. Don't go and do something destructive. I'm very ambivalent on the topic of protesting. Because I think in some ways there are like icky aesthetics around protesting. It became a sort of associated with like annoying people, and this is too, well, not so much annoying, but uneducated annoying people who are just like they're like having a moral panic about something. And this causes, like, the thing is, most of the people who are concerned about AI safety are far from that. Like, they're very thoughtful people. They've read up on this stuff incredibly deeply. So I wouldn't want the AI safety community to get tarred with that sort of brush of the same as like people who go and just, graffiti their slogan. This idea of slogans in general. Slogans I feel an ick whenever I hear a slogan, even if it's a cause I really, really care about and I'm aligned to. But maybe I'm not the type of person you're trying to appeal to. So at the same time, protests can be incredibly effective. So, that's why I'm ambivalent about it. Probably do more. Given that everyone is protesting these days anyway, and AI, as I said, like AI X risk is getting, far less attention than it should be getting, then probably people should be going out and protesting. But I think beyond that, like, speaking to, giving politicians a hard time about it. Some of my work I've been doing in anti-faction farming stuff, some of the organizations I've been funding are ones who will go and do corporate pressure campaigns. Because it's actually, it's these, in the case of factory farming, it's the corporations who are the ones who are actually doing the horrific practices, right? And ultimately, there are members of the board who are making these decisions, or like, putting their fingers in the air and sort of going along with whatever the CEO says. Those are real people, and it's possible to find out their names. And obviously, again, must always be within the law and within the realms of reasonability, but like making them a little bit more, I think if you're making decisions that can affect the entire outcome of the world, you don't get to remain anonymous. And so
Right.
corporate pressure campaigns, I think, are probably being underutilized.
Yeah, pressure cameras. I mean, so I agree with what you're saying. I guess my only request would be if you could consider saying this kind of stuff like more confidently and boldly, because you and I are kind of in this niche where we've got one foot in the nerdiverse, right? Like we're talking to like very nerdy people, very well-considered people who are balancing all these deep thoughts, and they don't want to go out on a limb. They don't want to misrepresent themselves, as you say, right? They don't want to hold up a protest sign that only has like 5 words on it. They need like a giant footnote. Okay, but you and I are also, once in a while, we're doing something that's getting, 100,000, a million views, you more so than me, but we're straddling these two worlds. And I think it's kind of our job to help move the Overton window, to break through the cringe and just be like, nope, we're doing this now.
Yeah, you might be absolutely right. Maybe it is. I think like there's certainly so much energy out there. There's so much disquiet amongst the general public around AI. It's not necessarily about the extinction risk problem, but I don't think it would be that hard to get a social movement going, particularly if you make it around. Well, no, but you have to make it around the more common problems that are affecting people's lives right now. The thing is that if you can, for example, like it's presumably going to help the extinction risk, or at least the arms race problem, the fact that like there's no monarchs purely at the wheel right now. There's no real checks and balances or anything to like slow down the race. If some regulation comes along that, for example, makes it so that these companies can't be quite so cavalier with people's data or all these other things, that's also going to throw a spanner in the works on the other thing. The point is that to get the public behind your cause, you have to make it something that is really emotionally salient for them. And the things that are emotionally salient for them are, for example, seeing their children being radicalized by algorithms online, or that they're losing their jobs.
Unemployment, yeah.
Yeah, unemployment. All of these sort of more near-term issues, they're not anywhere near as big a problem as X risk. But if you want to get the public behind you, you need to have it be something that they can. And as you said, like the idea of like X risk is probably a little bit too abstract for most people, because they just can't quite explain they can't fully grok the nature of the alignment problem. Or even if they do, it's really hard for them to explain it to someone else. Yeah.
Okay, by the way, I haven't had you on my show, so I haven't had a chance to ask.
P-Doom, what's your P-Doom? What's your P-Doom? What's your P-Doom?
Do you personally have a P-Doom?
I mean, it's somewhere between it's somewhere between 5 and 99%.
Okay,
so it's
so
not,
we've ruled out 99.9.
It's a hot mess of a probability distribution. But personally, all of those are unacceptable. I don't think 5% is acceptable. I don't think certainly nothing above like 15% is acceptable. So I'm really unclear. What I have been thinking about more, though, and it's not my concept, it's actually my husband Igor's. He's been asking people, instead of asking them their P-Doom, he's been asking, what is your P-normal? In other words, what is your probability that the next 10 years of development will go at the rate of change will go at approximately the same rate as the last 10 years? Because I think that is something that people can just like grok a little bit more easily, actually gets them thinking. And for me, like my opinion, that things will be sort of roughly normal in the same way that they've been over the last 10 years to the next 10 years is very, very low. Like certainly under 20%, probably 10%. Just things seem to be getting more and more chaotic. The rate of change is going so fast, not just in AI, but, in all this sort of other interconnected technologies as well. And plus AI will affect everything else that's going to be making life crazy. So, That's a question. Sorry, not to fully answer your question properly, but like that, I thought it would be something you might appreciate.
No, totally. And I don't even think 5 to 99% is that bad of an answer to what's your p-doom. I personally say 50%, but I also think 10 to 90% means the same thing as me when I say 50%, because it's not like a confident 50%.
Right.
I think
my median is, yeah.
Right. And we both think that anybody who says like 0.5%, it's like, really, how did you get 199 to 1 odds ratio? Like, really, you? And they would point the finger at us, like, why are you so confident? It's like, what, you're the one who's 199 to 1.
Yeah. For what it's worth, like, I can understand why Nate and Eliezer are effectively rounding to 100%, because like they do have a very compelling argument. I deeply hope they're wrong. And I, at the other end, like when you have like the Andreessens of the world or so on saying, oh, it's well under 1%. Again, I wish it was true. I hope they are correct, but I have yet to see a compelling argument why it is. But yeah, I would say that I can totally understand why their numbers are so high, and Roman too, people like that. But I don't know. Also, there's weirdly, some part of me just kind of wants to reject the question, because it's not an objective probability that there isn't, in fact, there's so many contingencies and things that can be impacting it, that some weird part of me, even though I am a poker player and I love probabilities, like just kind of rejects the question, because it is just so unknown and there are so many things that could be done to nudge things in different directions.
Sure. Yeah, fair enough. That's a common answer. I think that's reasonable. I'll just add that personally, even though you could say I'm also 10 to 90%, I personally feel like if I really was only 5%, I don't think that I would make it such a big issue. Even technically, it's like, yeah, you don't want a 5% chance of the world ending. Yeah, you should fight that. But I just don't think that it would be my own obsession if I really thought it was only 5 or even 10%. Because then I'd be like, just bet on the 90, whatever, 9 to 1, Hail Mary. Even better than Hail Mary. But I really just think that it's higher. Yeah. I think that's my only issue.
Yeah, then that's reasonable. Yeah, if you forced me to narrow my horribly wide range down, I would be comfortable narrowing it to somewhere between 35 to 65, something like that, or 75.
Yeah, that's all right.
I'm basically kind of like, I mean, I'm not bipolar about it in that most days I'm extremely concerned. Let's put it that way. It's not like I'm often getting used to me like, oh, actually, no, we're going to be okay. It's almost getting more into a question of like faith and almost religiosity around it, which I don't think is even that misplaced of a way of thinking when it comes to this topic, because it is so all encompassing. But yeah, it's difficult, but it's just safe to say I'm extremely, extremely concerned, and under current conditions, I think we are. I'm deeply concerned about the idea of superintelligence being created under current conditions, because Moloch is currently running the show, there's maybe one of the tech leaders who I think is really thinking about this well, and even that, they're all beholden to their corporate incentives. And or personal selfish incentives.
Yep. Well, you're definitely doing your part. You're endorsing the book. You're being very public about your p-doom, saying that this is a big problem, and you're just you're mitigating all the character assassinations. People like to paint with a broad brush and be like, nobody intelligent, nobody that people respect is taking the doom argument seriously. And you're like, well, yeah, at least I'm somebody who is, right. So like the more Livs we have, the better. So thanks for doing that.
Yeah, well, I mean, no one pissed me off more than the EACs when they started like shitting on the AI safety community and like saying the thing that really is just so ridiculous and galling is the argument they make that, oh yeah, people like Eliezer and co, in all the AI safety people, they're just doing it for the money. It's like, you think
book royalties, man. That's where the money is.
Eliezer's been thinking about AI since 2001. He could be or Nate Suarez could go and make hundreds of millions if he went into AI capabilities. So easily. Totally. He could have been doing it years ago. If he makes a few what is book sales going to do these days? It's like anything under than it's like orders of magnitude difference. And that alone speaks volumes. Meanwhile, the people who are like detracting from these arguments are the ones who are actually making bank, like working on AI capabilities. So it's so screwed up that they make those arguments. And I just don't like seeing, that definitely kind of radicalized me against the EAC movement when they started making those arguments. It's like, okay, I can't take, you're not serious people. You're just doing meme warfare and saying things to fight your own little corner.
Exactly right. I'm sure Eliezer Yudkowsky would make more as a level 1 engineer at Google than he's pulled in over the years as machine intelligence
so much
research
money
fellow.
doing any of that stuff. They could have been doing it for years, but they didn't, because they actually have, whether or not you believe in their values, they are consistent with their values, and they've made huge personal sacrifices for that. And so I respect them enormously for that.
Great. All right, Liv Boeree, thanks so much for coming by, and hope to see you coming on my show sometime.
Yeah, I'd love to. Thank you so much for having me. Bye.